What is it that sparks that moment? When something really complex just suddenly clicks. Makes sense.
That flash of understanding.
Exactly. That's what we're aiming for here on the Deep Dive. We explore fascinating texts to bring you those kinds of insights.
And today, we're diving into a really interesting one, Ibn Arabi's Contemplation of the Holy Mysteries and the Rising of the Divine Lights.
Okay.
It's essentially a collection of, well, 14 visions or contemplations. Each one is linked to the rising of a star, symbolically.
14, wow. So quite a journey.
It really is. It offers this incredible window into his mystical path.
So our mission today really is to pull out the core ideas for you. For anyone listening who wants to grasp this kind of knowledge deeply, but, well, efficiently too.
Right. We want to navigate Ibn Arabi's thoughts on things like revelation, existence itself, our connection to the divine.
But focusing on what really hits home. Because these contemplations, they seem to cover a huge range, don't they? From the nature of reality to how we even understand it.
Absolutely. They're deep explorations into, well, fundamental questions about being and our relationship with the ultimate source.
Okay, let's get into it then. We'll start with the very first contemplation. It's called The Light of Existence as the Star of Direct Vision Rises. And it kicks off with this really striking statement. The real made me contemplate the light of existence. And he asked me, who are you?
And right away, you hit this key concept, the light of existence. It's maybe less like physical light and more like that which allows anything to be perceived or understood. It's what makes being manifest, as opposed to darkness or obscurity.
Got it. And the specific Arabic word used here is wujud, right? That has layers of meaning.
That's absolutely right. Wujud isn't just existence in a passive sense. It also carries the meaning of finding or discovery.
Ah, okay. So it's active.
Yes. So the contemplation isn't just about the state of being, but also the active process of encountering it, realizing it.
Which makes that question, who are you?
Yeah.
Even more profound. It's digging into the nature of the self, but specifically in relation to this ultimate reality. The real.
Precisely. And Ibn Arabi brings in this idea of a first existence.
Right, like pre-creation in divine knowledge.
Exactly. And then our own second existence, our individual concrete reality. Now here's where it gets really interesting, a key insight.
Okay.
The contemplation suggests a paradox. If you see your existence as totally separate, as yours alone, you effectively lose sight of the real.
What?
But if you recognize your existence isn't solely yours, that it depends on the real, then you find the real.
Huh. So attributing existence to yourself blocks the view, but acknowledging its source reveals it. That's quite the balancing act.
It is a constant negotiation, really. And Ibn Arabi actually refers to a saying from Abu Bakr al-Siddiq here.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
That realizing the sheer impossibility of fully attaining knowledge of the divine is, in itself, a form of knowledge.
Wow. So accepting the limits of our understanding is actually a step toward understanding.
You've got it. It's a very deep kind of knowing.
So a big takeaway from this first part isn't just about levels of existence, but maybe realizing that true understanding involves constantly navigating this relationship, not fixing a definition of me.
Well put. It's dynamic.
Okay, let's move to the second contemplation. The light of taking as the star of affirmation rises. This sounds like it's about interaction, how the divine engages with us.
Yes, exactly. This one focuses on the divine act of taking. The Arabic is akad, and our response, our affirmation, or ikar.
And it starts with some pretty paradoxical statements, doesn't it?
It does. Things like taking is the same as letting go, but not everything that is let go of is taken.
Right, and then those variations like, you can find me, but you cannot take hold of me. I can take hold of you, but I cannot find you. Makes your head spin a little.
It does. They're designed to make you think. But the core idea of taking, it's strongly connected to a key moment in the Quran.
Which one is that?
It's Surah 7, verse 172. When God brings forth humanity from Adam and asks them, "Am I not your Lord?" And they reply, "Yes, indeed, we testify."
Ah, the primordial covenant. So that affirmation.
That's the star of affirmation here. So taking in this context isn't just physical grabbing. It's more like a divine initiative, a divine address that calls for our affirmation, our response.
Okay, so it's like God reaching out, and that act prompts our recognition.
Precisely. And Ibn Arabi explores different kinds of this taking unified, differentiated, but for our purpose, the key is this fundamental dynamic, divine action, human response.
And the vision described here, there's a hand, a green sea, a tablet.
Yes, highly symbolic. the hand representing divine power or action, the green sea often interpreted as absolute boundless knowledge like all possibilities, and the tablet often linked to salvation or destiny, written through that knowledge.
Then there's that really striking image of pearls and jewels turning into ordinary stones when brought to dry land.
Yeah, a powerful metaphor, isn't it, for how worldly treasures, things we value intensely here, lose their ultimate value outside their context, or perhaps compared to spiritual realities.
Seems like a clear message about attachment.
Definitely. And it's reinforced by a voice that reprimands, urging the letting go of those attachments, the subsequent journey through a desert with scorpions and lions.
Sounds perilous.
It represents the challenges, the trials on the spiritual path. But then finding healing in water purification, life-giving knowledge.
And that final act, casting off clothes, water, stones, everything, in the dark, to find what was sought.
It's really symbolic of stripping away everything extraneous, all the illusions, the layers of the self, the dependencies we think we need.
Letting go of everything to find the one thing that matters.
Exactly. And the contemplation concludes by saying these actions remove the veils, making it possible, potentially, to see the real.
Which leads us perfectly into the third contemplation. The light of the veils, as the star of strong backing rises. This feels central to understanding perception and reality.
Oh, absolutely. The veils are a major theme. This one starts right off with the question, do you know how many veils I have veiled you with? And the answer given is 70.
70 veils.
Huh?
Okay, but then comes another paradox.
Right. You get told, even if you raise them, you will not see me, and if you do not raise them, you will not see me.
And then almost the opposite. If you raise them, you will see me, and if you do not raise them, you will see me. How do we even approach that?
Well, I think the key insight is that the veils aren't just simple obstacles, like curtains to be pulled aside.
Okay.
They are also part of the very structure of perception. Removing them isn't a guarantee of sight if the inner capacity isn't there. And conversely, the real might be perceived through or despite the veils in some way. It's complex.
So it's not just about tearing things down. And there's a warning, too.
Yes, take care of burning yourself. Which suggests maybe a premature or unprepared attempt to force revelation, to rip away the veils without the necessary inner transformation could be harmful.
That makes sense. And then there's this identification. The servant is God's sight and face.
A very powerful statement about that inherent connection, the reflection of the divine within the human. It leads to the instruction to remove the veils, with the promise of finding what the Prophet Muhammad found.
Following the prophetic example.
Exactly.
Now, the text lists some of these 70 veils: non-existence, existence, covenants, seas, darknesses, letters, death, love. It's a long list. Is it meant to be exhaustive?
Probably not exhaustive in a literal sense. It seems more symbolic, representing the vast array of concepts, experiences, and even aspects of creation itself that can both shape and limit our perception of ultimate reality.
They are the fabric of experience, in a way.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
And the servant's reaction upon seeing something magnificent, followed by the statement that what's still hidden is even more magnificent. It points to the sheer immensity of it all.
Beyond comprehension, then there's more symbolism.
Yeah.
Burning the remaining veils, seeing the throne.
Yes, the throne often representing the highest level of created reality.
And then lifting it, throwing it into the sea, and pulling out a stone of similarity. What's going on there?
Highly symbolic stuff. It could represent transcending even the highest created forms, dissolving distinctions in the sea of unity, perhaps. And the stone of similarity, not literal stone, of course might symbolize recognizing the underlying essence, the fundamental unity or connectedness that links the creation to the creator.
Wow. Okay. And after all that, there's mention of being covered with 50 veils, but also uncovering 400 subtle veils. It's like a continual process.
It does seem to be. A process of both obscuration and refinement, peeling away grosser layers, revealing finer ones. It suggests that the journey isn't just a one-time unveiling.
And this leads into something called the letter from the first existence to the second existence.
Yes, which seems to be a more detailed explanation, elaborating on the veils, the unfolding of creation, the role of the pen, the guarded tablet.
Core Islamic cosmology concepts.
Right, and highlighting the unique station of the Prophet Muhammad, strengthened, purified, guided, taken on the night journey.
The mirage.
Exactly. And it culminates in advice, seemingly to his spiritual successor, or perhaps to the reader.
What's the advice?
To focus on annihilation and subsistence, losing the limited self within the divine reality, and contemplating divine attributes, not trying to grasp the inaccessible essence.
So engage with how God acts and manifests, rather than trying to define the undefinable.
That seems to be the gist, a practical path.
So just in these first three contemplations, we've touched on some massive ideas. The nature of being itself, this really dynamic interplay between the divine and the human, and this intricate idea of veils things that hide reality, but also maybe structure it.
Absolutely. They really lay the groundwork, setting the stage for the visions that follow. Each one builds on these themes, adding new layers, new perspectives on the mystical journey.
So thinking about you, our listener, who's looking for that knowledge that really sticks, that expands how you see things, what are the crucial takeaways so far?
Well, I think what's really insightful is how Ibn Arabi communicates these complex ideas. He uses these vivid, almost dreamlike symbolic narratives.
Right, not just dry philosophy.
Exactly. It gives you a framework for thinking about your own perception, your connection to, well, something bigger than yourself. And the paradoxes, they aren't meant just to confuse.
No.
No, I think they're meant to push you beyond simple linear black and white thinking, to nudge you towards deeper, maybe more intuitive levels of understanding.
And it really emphasizes that gaining this kind of deep understanding isn't purely intellectual, is it? It involves a transformation, a letting go of fixed ideas, attachments.
Yeah, getting beyond the veils of our own making, you could say, our preconceptions that limit our view.
Which makes me wonder, how does this ancient idea of veils connect to our world today? We're swamped with information, constantly bombarded with different takes, data points.
That's a really interesting thought. Could that constant barrage in its own way act like veils, maybe preventing us from seeing a clearer, deeper picture sometimes, creating noise?
It's a powerful analogy. This deep dive, I mean, we really only scratched the surface of just these first few contemplations out of 14.
Oh, definitely. Each one is packed with symbolism and layers of meaning. It's a vast intellectual and spiritual landscape.
We've barely mapped a small corner.
True.
So perhaps a final thought for you to ponder. How does this concept of veils things that both hide and reveal resonate with your own way of understanding the world, your own learning journey?
What veils, perhaps self-imposed or external, might you be ready to look at more closely, to maybe gently lift in your own search for deeper insight?
It's definitely something to think about. We'd encourage you, if this sparked your interest, to maybe explore Ibn Arabi's work further and perhaps consider what other complex topics might yield those surprising aha moments if you take a similar deep dive.